First came to Israel years ago. We went to Dizengoff. I never pronounce it out. Main Street, the mall in Tel Aviv. And they had this shop in the mall that says jazz. My wife said, look, Val. I go and I think they were, I don't know what CDs and whatever it was. A tremendous jazz collection and pictures of jazz artists. Some I knew personally. It's a long story. I knew all their moons.
All their moons,
all their
blemishes,
their
exploits.
things in their lives that weren't very good. And I said, all that is in their music. And I said, you know what? I love it. And once in a great while, I listened to what I was immersed in. So I don't know. I mean, I have my own days on that.
Today's the 7th day of
Can you pull art away
Tammuz.
from the artist?
No, you can't.
No.
The 7th day of Tammuz, the 3rd of July.
Is it?
Yep, it's 3rd of July.
Oh, tomorrow's 4th of July.
Okay. So, what did we have yesterday? We explained how from each one of the Sfirot you get a multiplicity. He begins with wisdom. Wisdom is what Hashem enclosed himself in, invests himself in, and from there it goes to the other Sfirot, and the other Sfirot already have separation. And then we said the big difference is that at the moment that it's even in wisdom already there is a division, but it's not a division that is contradictory. It's only when you come down to our world that you begin to have a machlokas. You begin to have a true division in wisdom. In other words, what I'm saying is that in the world of Atzilus, where Hashem is just investing himself in the wisdom, there we say Elu ve'elu divrei Elokim chaim. There we say that these and these are words of God. So Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel are only in the world of Atzilus. But down here, you can say it, but you can't hold by it. In other words, you can say
it may be all true, but you
right,
can't.
But you have to decide who you're going to follow. So that division only exists from the world of creation and down. So sometimes we even say that once it leaves, meaning in wisdom itself, wisdom is in the world of emanation. There, really everything is fine. It works together. Because it's still not in our world of division. It's still just Hashem investing himself in wisdom. But once you come down here, it's called the Malchus of Atzilus, the kingdom of the world of Atzilus. It already begins to create these worlds. And in these worlds, you have to decide who you're following. You can't say, one day I'll follow Beis Shammai, the other day I'll follow Beis Hillel. You have to rule according to one academy or the other. And then you have to be consistent. So that's the difference between the other Sfirot and wisdom. The other Sfirot are already considered to be like creating divisions. And that's what he said here, that on the first day God created the light and the water, and they are products of loving kindness, of chesed. And the second day, all the products of gvura, of might, like the firmament. And so on for all seven midos, all seven attributes of the heart. And the principle is that what is emanated, what comes out, what is the effluence that comes out of each one of the Sfirot is different based on which Sfirah it is. And we saw the parable for that, which is that the water inside the cup is always the same water. It's the cup that gives it the coloring. So you have a blue colored cup and you have a red colored cup. The water stays the same. It's just that now it looks blue or it looks red. The blue or the red is the tint within the vessel of each sphira, of each emanation. So each one affects, but it doesn't really affect the water. The water remains the same. והמשל בזה ידוע מובא בפרדס, and he's going to bring some of these parables, is brought in the Pardes, meaning in the the Ramak, Moses Cordovero, in chapter 2. I don't understand. Sham Perek Bed means that you already talked about the partis once, but I don't remember where it was. It must have been a while ago. So it's some gate, chapter 2. I think it's maybe the 5th gate. I don't remember. Ke'ein Hashemesh והאש שבכוח אחד שבו והאש שבכוח אחד שבו והחום ומתיך השעבה ותקפיד דבר לך ותבשל ותשרוף ותשחיר ותלבין בחילוף הפעולות הללו. So the early example of this, what we used as electricity, used to be fire. So the fire, you can use the energy in the fire for many things. On the one hand, you can melt wax. On the other hand, it can, here it says something that is already liquid, it will cause what's inside to separate, so that the heavy parts go to the surface. V'tivashel v'tisrof, and it can cook, and it can burn, and it can darken, blacken stuff if you use it for like in a blacksmith's. V'talbin, and you can use it to whiten, and it can do all these different actions. Same idea as what we said about the energy in electricity. You can use it for different things. וחילוף הפעולות הללו מצד חילוף המקבלים. And the reason that the fire can do so many things is not because of the fire. The fire in itself doesn't have the ability to do this or that. These are all the qualities within what's receiving the energy of the fire. So if it's a liquid and it's evaporating, so that's in the liquid. It's not something that the fire can't, it doesn't have anything like evaporation, the power of evaporation and so on. It's very interesting that the parable of the earth and seeds is not used. The earth. Because depending on what kind of seed you put into the earth, that's what, because somebody could think that maybe all these powers are in the earth. Maybe the earth has an apple tree in it. Yeah, right. Now, the reason it's not used, I believe, is because there's a grain of thought like that. Even I'm not clear on it 100%, but there is a grain of thought like that. It's not completely void of this type of thinking. Even in Yiddishkeit, there is such a thought. The thinking is a little bit different in the earth. That the earth causes first the seed to rot, and so they have this picture that it rots back to nothingness, and from there it sprouts.
Then the earth makes it. Yeah.
So there's this. It's a little bit more complex with the earth, and I don't know. First of all, I don't know why they thought about it this way. I guess the reason is because everything rots in the earth. Meaning, when you put stuff in fire, not everything goes through the same type of reaction. And in seeds, they see that everything rots first.
So it's like it goes to nothing.
Right. So there must be something. There
could be something in the earth.
Again, I said in Chassidus and in ancient science in general, the question is not the logical. Well, it is logical, but it's not the theory behind it so much as the observation.
Right.
What you observe.
Right.
There's a very famous story about observation in the Talmud regarding how long does it take for a snake to gestate, like how long is its gestation period.
I vaguely remember this.
And in the Talmud, the story is that Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi ends up in Rome, and there's a philosopher there. I mean, a Greek scientist. There were no Roman scientists; they didn't care. But so the emperor has a Greek scientist, and he says, I tested it and it's 5 years. The gestation period is 5 years. They don't mean that that's the gestation period in general. They just mean that's the longest. Longest I've seen is 5 years. And Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi says, you did not conduct your observation correctly. In so many words, he says to him, actually, it's 7 years. So the guy says to him, how do you know? Did you conduct these experiments? He says, no, I know from the Torah. And he tells him how he learns from the curse of the snake that it's 7 times longer than a human being. So if ours is about a year, so it's 7 years. So So the question is, so he says to him, but I saw 5. So he says, your observation was incorrect because it was already pregnant for 2 years when you caught it. So you also need to know how to do observation in Shekoyach. You also need to know how to do observation. That's the empirical method. So it's not that the observation is gone today from science. It still is. I mean, there's still the art of observation, even though a lot is based on mathematics. But, okay, so that's the first parable that he brings in the Pardes.